Good evening and welcome to your May 10th edition of the Oro Sports Show, brought to you by First Health Orthopedics. I am, of course, your host, Matt Harrelson, and as always, our regulars, Jeremy McKenzie to my right and Russell Parker on the other end. Now, guys, obviously, we're still in the middle of the NBA playoffs, and we're going to keep talking about it until they finish up in June. But as of right now, the first thing I want to talk about, because every time you talk about the playoffs, you always got to talk about LeBron.
Yes.
Now, I got to give you kudos here. You picked the Cavs to beat the Raptors. Russell and myself did not. However, you did say that it would go to 7. So, I want to get your take on this to start out here. Did it kind of surprise you that the Cavs were able to manhandle the Raptors like this?
I was really surprised because the persona that the Raptors got with such a young, energetic team where you would think they would give LeBron a run for his money, but it seems like Toronto got cold feet when they faced Cleveland.
Yeah. What do you think, Russell? I mean, was Toronto overrated, or it's LeBron time, you know?
I'm kind of shocked by it, too. I mean, 4-0, insane. LeBron's just proven every time, again and again, that he is the best.
And, you know, after the Pacers series where it went to 7, I know myself, I said, at what point is LeBron going to run out of gas? And time after time, he just proves me wrong.
Just refills it.
Yeah, and I mean...
Put $200 in the tank and keep moving.
They jumped out 2-0 in Toronto because, you know, Toronto was the 1 seed, so they obviously had home court advantage. But after they went up 2-0, I was like, that's it, man. You know, even if they don't sweep, it was over. And, of course, as we see now, they were able to sweep. Now, we're going to talk about the Cavs moving on. But as far as Toronto, is it time to blow it up?
I think with Toronto, they got a young and energetic team. They got a good coach in Dwayne Casey. I think if you bring in somebody to come in and help take pressure off of DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry and the center there, I think that's going to give them pretty much a good chance to beat LeBron, because Toronto already proven for the past 2 or 3 seasons is a legit threat to the East.
Yeah, and you make a good point. However, the other flip of that coin is, like, for instance, this season, they won like 60 games or something and was kind of far and away at least the best regular season team in the East. But, Russell, I mean, after winning that many games to go out like they did, I mean, what do you think? Is it time to start over, or do you think they should keep this core together?
I think it's going to take some time for them to regroup and come back in this, but I think they got a solid team still.
Yeah. And, again, we'll have to see, you know, what the Raptors do in the offseason. Any chance Dwayne Casey's job's in jeopardy?
No, I don't think so. I think he'll keep his job due to the fact that he has been consistent, taking them to the playoffs, and pretty much this energetic team he has, they respect him, and I think pretty much his job is safe right now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even though they bowed out the way they did, they were still the number 1 seed, and again, like I said, maybe the best team overall in the regular season. Now, speaking of the Cavs, of course, as I said, we didn't know how LeBron was going to react to playing Toronto as an underdog, so to speak. But you know, looking forward, is there another chance that LeBron represents out of the East again?
More than likely.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah.
I agree. I think it seems like the way he's playing, no matter who they play, he's going to be dominant. And again, LeBron, I'm sorry for doubting you, man, because you're just killing it every time I put doubt on him. Now, looking at the West. I don't know about you guys, but I think most people in the world were expecting it to be Houston and Golden State when it's all said and done in the West, and that's exactly what we're going to get, because the Rockets won 4-1 over the Utah Jazz, and the Warriors won 4-1 over the Pelicans. Now, I'm going to get some predictions here in a minute, but I want to just touch a minute about the Jazz. The Jazz had a great season.
Yes.
A lot of people thought they were going to be down after losing Gordon Hayward to Boston. Of course, as we know now, Donovan Mitchell, a rookie, stepped up and became their go-to scorer. What is the future bright in Utah?
Oh yeah, very bright. You know, this is a team that most people know for over the course of time. Well, you have your Karl Malones and the John Stocktons,
right.
And now it's kind of like that same transition is coming in from Donovan Mitchell now, where he's coming an elite scorer, and he nothing but a rookie, like you said just a little minute ago. But I think this young energetic team can come in and do some things, can be a good threat in the West, but I think what's coming down to in the offseason, they got money where they can bring in some core players in, and probably if they get a bench, they'll be fine.
Which brings me to my next point, Russell. Utah obviously is going to have to deal with Houston and Golden State in the West. It's not a big market team like some of these other are, so they have to capitalize on draft picks like Donovan Mitchell. With them being there, is that kind of where they're going to have to go? Is that the direction they're going to have to take, where they have to develop their own guys and then watch them walk away like a Gordon Hayward?
Well, you know, most of the teams like that, when they're small, it's hard for them to get up there big, but when they do, they can make a huge impact on the sport overall. So I say if they keep trending the way they are, they'll be up there.
All right. Now, prediction time. I'm going to put you on the spot like we always do. Rockets, Warriors. Who you got?
I'm going for the upset alert. I'm going for Houston in 7 games.
Now, Houston was the 1 seed, but I agree. I think right now if Houston won, it would be an upset.
No,
Russell, what about you?
Warriors are going to win it.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's be honest. This one, I don't know about you guys, but I could definitely see this one going 7 games. This is what everybody's been anticipating.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, I can see it.
Golden State going to flat out beat them.
You think they're going to sweep them?
Not sweep them. They might get 1 win on them, but nah, they're going to win out.
I think that Chris Paul especially is very well motivated to at least come out of the West and play for an NBA Finals championship. And, of course, you got James Harden there, so they have the firepower to stand up to Golden State. It's basically going to come down to who makes the most baskets, because both of these teams we know shoot a lot of threes. So it's basically, in my opinion, going to come down to who can rebound and who can make the most shots. So before we started the playoffs, I had the Rockets winning the West. I'm going to stick with them and have them winning, but I think it's going to go to 7. I just, for some reason, I keep saying it, and of course, I seem like I'm wrong every time, but I feel like Golden State has some kind of vulnerability right now, and I don't know what that is. It's just kind of a gut feeling that I have, but I think that this might be the point where Houston takes over as the reigning team in the West. But, again, we'll have to wait and see.
My top 2 are still in this, Cleveland and Golden State, so I'm still sticking with that one all the way through.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah, that's a good pick. Now, talking about a Western team, the San Antonio Spurs they had an assistant by the name of James Borrego. He's now going to be the head coach of the Charlotte Hornets. And we're going to talk about the poll here in just a minute. But wouldn't you know, as soon as we put up the RO Sports Show Facebook poll about whether they should get an experienced coach or a rookie coach, they go and hire a coach nonetheless. So you're welcome, Charlotte. We expedited that process.
I think it took our advice a little bit because they kind of went in the middle.
Like it's time to get it going. But being a Spurs fan, is this a good hire for the Hornets?
I truly believe it is that this coach can come in and teach these guys the fundamental game of basketball from all the way from scoring all the way down to playing defense. You got some guys in Kemba Walker, and then you got Dwight Howard there for the time being, and Michael Gilchrist, depending on what his future holds right now. I think this is a good hire for Charlotte, and we'll see how well it goes.
Yeah, what do you think, Russell?
Well, the past few weeks we've been debating, do we want a rookie coach or an experienced coach? We kind of got something in the middle here where he's not a head coach. He's a rookie head coach, but he's had the experience in the NBA. And I think that's going to be a perfect match for the Hornets.
And also learn from under Greg Popovich.
Yeah, that's what I was just getting ready to say. Anybody that comes from Greg Popovich's coaching tree, you would think is going to be successful and knows what he's talking about. But just to let everybody know, the Ross Facebook poll, it came out as 67% experienced coach, 33% for a rookie coach. So like you said, we kind of found somewhere in the middle with James Borrego. And again, I mean, you know, I've sat here plenty of times and talked about how I think the Hornets should start over and blow this thing up. You know, but you mentioned the fact that they've got Kemba Walker, they've got Dwight Howard. It seems like Dwight Howard just resurrected his career this year, specifically thinking of that game where he scored 30 and had 30 rebounds. I mean, you just don't see that very often. So, you know, maybe if we'll have to see what happens with them in the draft, see if they can get a stud, because they are going to be closer to the top more than likely. But, you know, hopefully the future's bright for the Hornets.
I'm going to make a bold prediction. They're going to make the playoffs next season.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. In the East, they very well could. I mean, you look at a team like, you know, we're talking about the Pacers last week and then a minute ago about the Cavs. You know, they pick up Victor Oladipo, who a lot of people were like, this guy's not very good. But he's similar to Kemba, in my opinion, and he gets some guys around him.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're a 5 or 6 or 7 seed, and you're in the playoffs, and you're pushing the Cavs to 7 games. So you never really know. But like I said, hopefully the future will be bright for the Charlotte Hornets. But again, when we come back next week, just like we're going to be doing until we get done with the playoffs, we're going to continue talking about the NBA, and we'll see who's right and who's wrong as far as who's going to win the West when we come back next week. But when we come back from the RO Sports Show, we're going to get into NASCAR like we do every week, and we're going to recap the PGA Tour because, of course, the guys were in Charlotte at Quail Hollow for the Wells Fargo. And are also going to look forward to what they call the 5th major, the TPC, at Sawgrass. So all that and more when we come back from the RO Sports Show.
Rockingham Farm Supply in downtown Rockingham, at the corner of 220 and Green Street's a great place to stop by and have some fellowship and fun. pick up your dog food, seed, even chicks for your farm, a little bit of everything, and a great selection of zero-turn lawnmowers and other lawn care products. Stop by and visit the local family-friendly atmosphere at Rockingham Farm Supply. Again, that's Rockingham Farm Supply, corner of 220 and Green Street in downtown Rockingham.
At Richmond Community College, we can prepare you for a high-skill, high-paying career in a variety of fields. From business to education, engineering, utilities, healthcare, criminal justice, information technology, and human services. At Richmond Community College, we can save you thousands of dollars on tuition through our university transfer programs that provide a seamless transition to universities and colleges throughout North Carolina. At Richmond Community College, we are always developing new courses and programs in response to the communities we serve. We offer day, evening, and online courses, and you can now complete 5 curriculum programs entirely online. At Richmond Community College, we believe in helping you prepare for a better life. Richmond Community College. Local college, big impact.
Is that your phone that was going off earlier?
No, mine's back there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was
That
yours.
was mine. Mine don't sound like that.
I
It
could-
might have been mine.
I could hear it going.
Exit Realty Platinum in Rockingham has listed one of the most beautiful homes in Richmond County. Located in Rockingham on Ledbetter Lake, the home features 4 bedrooms with bamboo floors and a kitchen featuring stainless steel appliances and granite countertops, and a master bedroom that overlooks Ledbetter Lake, along with a spacious tile shower and the attached master bathroom. The open living space leads to the back deck with a perfect view of Ledbetter Lake, and the property features its own boat dock. Want to see this beautiful home? Call Nicole Hayden with Exit Realty Platinum, your source for homes in Richmond and Moore counties.
My name is Jim Leach, and we have been using the Tim Hayden Construction Company for the last several years.
My name is Dave Owens and my wife Beth. We had some damage here at our place in Knollwood Village.
January 2nd, our house flooded upstairs coming through to the first floor.
Tim has responded very quickly with his team of people.
Our repairs went extremely well.
Tim made a very difficult situation much easier for us.
And welcome back to the RO Sports Show, brought to you by First Health Orthopedics. And it's time to hit the track again, as we do every week. We were in Dover, Delaware this past week. So first of all, I want to ask you, who did you pick to win this race?
Well, I picked Kevin Harvick to win this one. He has a lot of good stats coming into this one. Has won a few races here as well, and certainly didn't hold back this past Sunday.
So, time to brag. Who won?
Kevin Harvick.
That's right.
He swept the first 2 stages and won the race. Dominating performance. Clinton Boyer gave him a run for his money during that race, but Kevin Harvick prevailed and won it overall. And of course, Daniel Suarez had a solid race as well. Martin Truex finished 4th. Kyle Busch wrecked out and didn't even get a chance to fight for the win. He wrecked sometime. Actually, I think something broke on his car and it forced him to go behind the pit wall.
I know last week, Logano ended up winning, and I was asking you if you thought that might boost some momentum for him. Do you know how he ended up doing in Dover?
He finished, I think he had a top 15. He actually had a loose wheel coming down pit road on kind of right after the red flag. They had a red flag because of rain. And when they got the cars to go back onto the track, they came down pit road, changed tires, and then they realized they had a loose wheel, so they had to bring them back down pit road, and that costed him a potential top 5 finish today. He was running solid, but he ended up, I think, restarting 16th and kind of stayed around that spot.
But I'll tell you, man, Kevin Harvick seems to be on fire so far this season. And we're going to get to the point standings here in just a minute, but you mentioned Clint Boyer, and I read online that there were some NASCAR drivers that got penalized and some penalties levied against them after the Dover race, Boyer being one of those, right?
Yeah. He actually got docked, I think, 20 points for driver and owner, a $50,000 fine to his crew chief, and a 2-race suspension for the car chief. So, huge penalty there.
Yeah.
It was a failed rear windows support structure, kind of similar to what happened to Kevin Harvick back at Las Vegas.
That's obviously that's a big penalty levied against them, but $50,000?
Yeah.
Whew. And whose pocket does that come out of? The sponsors, maybe?
Probably the entire team itself. Probably Storehouse Racing that you probably covered.
Okay.
That was a great day for Storehouse. Tony Stewart was down there watching his team, and they had a great race. Although unfortunately, something broke on Clinton Boyer's car.
So let me ask you this: when it comes to stuff like that, who does that fall on at the end of the day? Is it the crew chief? Is it the I mean, who's responsible when you get done with the race and then come to find out? Because it's not really cheating, is it?
No, because that can happen in the middle of the race. That's what happened with Kevin Harvick back at Vegas. It broke some point in the middle of the race, and they couldn't do anything about it. Unfortunately for them, they couldn't do anything about it. But NASCAR states that if something like that happens, it's on the it's on the crew chief and the car chief. It's on them and the entire team, really, whoever put that together, because that shouldn't happen in the middle of the race. You should be able to get the part that will keep it from not breaking.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Although, just me personally, I don't know nearly enough about cars to be able to put one of those together. So, kudos to them to be able to even do that, because, I was reading what the penalties were levied against them for, and I'm like, what is that? What is that? I don't even know what that is. Rear what? What? Spoke what? I don't know.
Yeah, some of these actually you don't see very often. Like Daniel Suarez had a penalty for the rear window not flush to deck lid, and kind of.
So that sounds like Chinese to me.
It can be anything. Usually when you see these penalties, it's usually a loose wheel violation in the race, but sometimes you get these odd ones that pop up every once in a while.
Right. Let me ask you this, though. Let's say you get in a wreck, but your car is still able to get out there and go, but there might be one of these violations hanging out there too. What do you do?
Well, NASCAR now has it set up where I think it started I think last year it was started. Where if you wreck in a race and you got to get towed out of there, you're done for the day. If you go behind the pit wall, you're done for the day. You cannot go back out there at all. You got 7 minutes in your pit stall to make any adjustments, and then you got to get back out onto the track and get back up to speed. In order for you to reset that clock.
So that's what you have to do in order to stay eligible.
Yep.
And that makes sense, because you wouldn't want guys to be able to go back to the garage, pretty much put the car back together, and then go back out there.
Yeah, and then do like 60 laps down. There's no point in it.
Right.
Or have a Matt Kenseth, Joey Logano situation like they did a few years ago at Martinsville, where Kenseth had a wreck, and then he came back out there and costed Logano a win.
Yeah.
Regardless if you can debate if it was his fault or not, but it came back out there and caused a wreck on a leader and drastically changed the outcome of the race.
And if I remember correctly, I think there were some fisticuffs among that little.
There were definitely some, yeah.
Now, moving on from Dover, where are we headed to next?
Kansas Speedway. We're going to go out there to follow the Yellow Brick Road, see what happens out there. It's a 1.5 mile track. Matt Kenseth returning. He's going to be in the number 6 car. Going to take over Trevor Bayne's car for that race. And let's see how he does. Going back to Roush Yates. And it'll be really interesting to see how that turns out for him.
I agree. Now, as always, who are you taking?
Well, I won't say Kyle Busch because he's had bad luck there in the past. Brad Keselowski's a favorite. I've been saying that past few weeks, so he hasn't won, so I'm probably not going to take him. I'm probably going to take Logano on this one because he actually has been showing a lot of momentum the past few weeks, especially now considering he's second in points. Only 22 points back. I'm going to get that in a minute. But Kevin Harvick will certainly be a threat, and I know this is Harvick's best season yet. You think back in 2014 when he won his first championship, and that was with a different team and a different car. Chevrolet, it was 2014, he had like the first 11 races, he had maybe 2 wins. Now he's up to 4, leading over 700 laps already this season. And only 11 races in. He's got a good chance of winning this race.
Okay. And, the All-Star race is coming up in Charlotte, and we're going to get to that in a minute, but that's usually considered the midway point of the season, right?
Yep.
So let's look at the point standings where we are right now. So give us the rundown.
Well, Kyle Busch is currently first, Logano's second, only 22 points behind. Kevin Harvick sitting in third. You used to be surprised that he's actually only in third. You think he'd be up higher.
I would thought so too.
But Kyle Busch has been racking up a lot of playoff points. He's got 17. Harvick's at 19. Logano's at 7. Those will play into when we get into the playoffs later. Those points will add on then. Brad Keselowski sitting in 4th. Clinton Boyer 5th. Kurt Busch 6th. Blaney 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th is Hamlin, Truex, and Larson. Now, if you look at the top 10 on that, there's only one Chevrolet, and I believe 7 Fords and 2 Chevrolets. Fords are dominating right now.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned Boyer's on there. He's going to drop now, isn't he? More than likely after getting penalized?
Yeah, he got docked at 20 points, so he's kind of already fallen back there.
Okay. So he was actually higher before that.
Probably. I didn't get a chance to look at the standings right before they took the points away, but it probably didn't change too much.
Now, you obviously know a lot more about NASCAR than I do, but why is it that Kevin Harvick's won
He's got
4 races all year? So how is he stuck in third?
It's probably got a lot to do with the fact that Kyle Busch has been more consistent than him, and Logano has been consistent despite him not having a win up until Talladega. He's actually been very consistent, but he's kind of just like a sleeper. And Harvick has been up there. Of course, Kyle Busch had 3 wins as well, I believe. So it's been a pretty solid race for those two, but we'll have to see how it goes because right now it's looking like, to me personally, I think we're going to have 3 Fords in the championship for at the end of this season. But I think we'll certainly see Toyota and Ford, no Chevrolets in it.
Okay. Now, as I mentioned just a moment ago, the All-Star race coming up. It's always, well, I don't know if it's always, but over the last song,
it's always been at Charlotte.
Always been at Charlotte. Okay. So, last week we talked about how they're doing a road course in there, but this is almost like the main attraction for Charlotte now, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Charlotte, the All-Star race for NASCAR, is records of checkers. $1 million is the grand prize.
That's
right. Winner takes all. And it's the coolest thing about the All-Star race is that it's located right in Charlotte, right where the majority of all the teams are. So they kind of bring their best as their home track, backyard, under the lights. It's a lot of fun to be there. I've been to one, and it was a lot of fun. Jimmy Johnson won it, of course. I'm very excited for this race. I think there's about 75 laps in this race. They do it by stage, but they're actually going to add restrictor plates to this race.
Okay, so it's only 75 laps. Why is it so short? It's kind of just a shootout. Just
go
after
it's pretty much like a shootout. A short. They have a couple of stages in the middle of it, so maybe like a 20 lap, 30 lap, and then a 10 lap is usually the final stage. But like I said, the interesting thing about this race is that they're adding restrictor plates to it, which has never been done on anything but super speedway. So it'll be interesting to see how they race in that condition.
And I don't know about you. I know we talked about some of the other racetracks that give out like grandfather clocks and stuff like that. Me personally, I'd rather have a cool million, but that's just me. Now, some other big news coming out of NASCAR is the potential sale of NASCAR itself from the France family. So tell us just a little bit about that.
Yeah, so earlier this week, I think it's Reuters, they came out with an article saying that NASCAR, the France family, who owns I think 73% stock of NASCAR and also been the owners ever since the organization was founded, they're potentially going to be selling it. They're in talks with Goldman Sachs right now on selling it, and I think it's like a very large portion of their share, not entirety, but right now it's kind of a lot of speculation, and there's nothing been confirmed because no one has came forth from NASCAR to say it's good to go, but nobody's denied it either.
Right.
So it's kind of just swinging there.
And as we were talking before we came on, this is a unique situation because you don't have one specific group or family that owns the NFL or owns the NBA or Major League Baseball. So it's very unique for this to even be talked about. And I don't want to speculate, but we kind of were trying to figure out why this is happening now. But I think it'll be very interesting to see, first of all, if it's true, why they're doing it now, and also how much it's going to go for. I mean, don't you think we're talking billions of dollars here?
Oh, definitely. But I think, it is certainly a unique situation. And I know the Carolina Panthers have been currently sold right now.
Right.
They're up for sale. But this is an entire organization, not just one team.
Right.
So this can drastically change the entire sport, whether it's the schedule, whether it's how teams are paid, how rules are set up. A lot can change. Of course, the schedule won't change for the next 3 years.
Right.
But anything can happen.
Yeah,
really.
because once you sell your company and relinquish control, who you sell it to can pretty much do whatever they want to, right? I mean, that's what you get for spending $10 billion or whatever the number ends up being.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around the whole situation because as a fan, you can kind of be happy about it because you might get some new change, but you're also scared about it because it can make things drastically horrible in a sense. But hopefully the France family will sell it to somebody who's going to take NASCAR into a good direction.
Good. Well, I hope so too. Now, also, like I mentioned before the break, going to go from, as I said last week, from fast to grass. So we're talking about the PGA Tour again. Now, of course, last week the big boys were at the Wells Fargo Championship at Quail Hollow Club in Charlotte. Big time for sports in Charlotte right now, it seems like. But Jason Day ended up winning, shooting a 12 under round throughout the weekend. Of course, I think he won by 2 strokes, so it wasn't a playoff situation. But just a couple of quick names here everybody knows. Phil Mickelson finished tied for 5th at 7 under, so he had a great round.
Patrick Reed, 8.
Patrick Reed, Rory McIlroy came in at 3 under. My pick, Ricky Fowler, came in at 2 under, so not as good as I thought he would do. And then, of course, Tiger Woods playing in this as well. Finished tied for 55th at 2 over, so obviously not his best rounds of golf. Of course, Jordan Spieth, another big-time player, didn't. He took the week off.
Yeah.
But I say all that to move forward to the TPC, which is the Players' Championship, going to be played at TPC Sawgrass
Sort of
in
known
Florida.
as the 5th major.
Yeah, that's what they call it. They call it the 5th major. I mean, everybody knows Sawgrass. It's one of those iconic.
Personally, it's my favorite course on the tour.
Yeah, I mean, and it's the 17th green that gives it that persona. But
I got a fact for you. You know, Pete Dye, who's the architect of Sawgrass, didn't actually invent the 17th hole. They only made 17 holes to start with, but they couldn't figure out where to put that 17th hole at between 16 and 18. So his wife Alice came out there and said, "Why don't you just build one in the lake?" He didn't think it would work, but years later it proved that she was correct.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm trying to think of another one specific hole on any other course in the world that is as well known as that one. And I'm sure maybe if we sat here and did some research and thought about
has
it.
an island hole similar to it.
Yeah, but most people know the 17th on Sawgrass just because it's so different than anything else that's out there. Now, I want to mention that Tiger, Phil, and Ricky Fowler are all paired up today, so that's obviously a huge group of big-time players. Also being paired up is Rory, Jordan Spieth, and Justin Thomas. So, I mean, you're talking about 6 of the biggest names in golf in 2 groups. So, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out as we move forward into this tournament. But, as we did last week, I want to get a prediction. Who do you think is going to win?
Well, I would like to say Tiger on this one. I know he's had a very solid career here at Sawgrass. I'm going to have to continue to stick around with Rory on this one. As I picked last week, I'm going to pick Rory here. I think he's got a good, solid opportunity to win Sawgrass.
I agree. I'm actually going to take Rory too. You took the same pick as me. I do want to mention that last week Tiger was trying some new irons. Maybe that might have had something to do with him shooting a 2 over. I'm assuming he's going to continue using those irons here, but like you said, he knows this course very well. I'm pretty sure he's won it at least twice.
Oh yeah.
So
had a very nice putt too on the 17th as well.
Yeah. But I agree. I mean, I think it's time for Rory to get one. Even though it's not a major, it's still the 5th major, and I could definitely see him winning this. Although, I will say this. We mentioned before that guys usually tend to play better when their competition is better.
Oh, yeah.
In these groups right here, I think it's going to be
all
out, shootout to see who can shoot the lowest. So.
And I hope they continue to get grouped up throughout the week.
I do too. I mean, I think that's neat because Tiger and Phil don't get paired up that often. I think I read where out of 21 tournaments, they may have been paired up like 3 or 4 times, something like that. So when it happens, it's a big deal, obviously, because obviously some of these younger guys have moved into the spotlight. But for the better part of 20 years, it's been Tiger and Phil 1 and 2. So, but again, we will let you know who wins this tournament. See how right we are. See if Rory makes us look smart or not. But when we come back from the break, not NFL, but college football is going to be gearing up here in a couple months. But we've talked about some spring games. We're going to continue talking about college football, and of course, after that, big impact of the week, your athletes of the week, and love it or hate it. All that and more when we come back.
McNair Auto Sales is the place to buy your pre-owned car, truck, or van. To be the best, it takes big selection, friendly staff, and great pricing. We guarantee a no-hassle buying experience, and financing is available right on site. So come see us today. We're located at 1026 East Broad Avenue in Rockingham. And remember, with over 40 years of experience, you know McNair is the name you can trust.
Family Pharmacy is a local pharmacy that's been in business in Rockingham for over 10 years. Located in the Food Lion Shopping Center on US 1 North, we have easy access into the store and a drive-thru for your convenience as well. You can download the official Family Pharmacy app at myfamilypharmacy.com, and we'll help you set it up to text you when your prescription is ready, and you can even set it up to fill your prescriptions when due. Our motto is we'll treat you like family, and it's something we truly mean. We take the same care in filling your prescription that we would take for our own family. Family Pharmacy. We'll treat you like family.
Willow Tree Antiques and Gifts is all about rustic home decor and gifts. You will always find a variety of unique antiques, vintage, and new items in our shop. Come and see our selection of housewarming, new baby, and wedding gifts. For the man in your life, we have many collectibles, Boker knives, and leather. And ladies love the jewelry, purses, candles, hats, and t-shirts. We also offer a 30-day layaway program. Come and experience shopping at Willow Tree Antiques and Gifts.
Hello, I'm Tammy Benson, and this is
Nancy Bowling.
And we're here to tell you about the wonderful service at hospice and what they have to bring. From the nursing services, to the medical director, to in-home aides, to a chaplain, to bereavement, to everything you can imagine. They were there to take care of it.
I cannot think of how the experience with hospice could have been any better professionally, spiritually.
And welcome back to the RO Sports Show, brought to you by First Health Orthopedics. And we're going to get into some football, this time at the collegiate level. And first, guys, I'm going to talk about Lane Kiffin. We've known his career. I want to go back all the way to when he was in his early 30s, about a decade ago. You know, he was the Oakland Raiders head coach for 2 years. Didn't work out. Maybe people thought he was a little too young. Then he goes to Tennessee for 1 year, spurns them to go over to USC to be their coach from 2010 to 2013. I'd obviously rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Seemed like maybe his career was over as a head coach. Of course, as we know now, he resurrected that from 2014 until 2016 as Bama's offensive coordinator. And then this past year, he became the head coach at Florida Atlantic University, where they finished 11-3 and won the Conference USA Championship. Now, I say all of that to get to this. Lane Kiffin is obviously a hot commodity again. He's at a smaller school, which is a whole other discussion that we're going to get into here in a minute. But how long does Lane Kiffin stay in the CUSA?
I think Lane Kiffin is pretty much going to stay another year, and I think he's gone.
Yeah, because can you see another? I mean, it's a high prolific offense he's put together there.
Yeah, and I think because of his persona and his offensive mindset, I think he can go to a big school like you got your Nebraska to Oklahoma to Ohio State, pretty much Georgia, Miami, or in those Florida State, those vacancies came open, I think they will take a chance on him.
Absolutely. What do you think, Russell?
Well, I don't think he needs to go to SEC conference right now. Not with how you got Saban and Smart up there dominating at the moment. I think he needs to go somewhere towards the ACC or maybe the Big Ten.
Or the Big 12.
Big 12, yeah. Somewhere around there. But I personally think he won't do good at all in a bigger school. And he's kind of shown that with Tennessee and USC. He hasn't had a great career out of those two schools. Only done good at Alabama because he was only controlling just the offense, not the entire team. And even Saban kind of kept him on a leash there.
Yeah, he did. Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. But, like I was mentioning, FAU, nobody knew about this school until Kiffin went there.
No.
And he's very fluent with social media, which maybe to me, I'm a little older than you guys, doesn't sound like it should matter, but these recruits that they're trying to bring in, they pay attention to that sort of thing, and he's able to capitalize on that.
Not to mention he's also made a name for himself by kind of mocking Saban a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. See, you're talking about him being a head coach at Tennessee and USC. I kind of chalk that up as him just not being ready for that position. I think that him going to Bama and being the offensive coordinator prepared him for a head coach job. He's in his early 40s. I mean, he's not old at all for coaches. I'm with you. I don't think I could see him definitely going to a Big 12 school
or the ACC, like a team like I could see him like a team where
Boston College or something like that.
Yeah, Virginia Tech or even East Carolina.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think ECU would love to have him.
They would because and the reason I said Big 12 is because it seems like every offense in the Big 12 is just
strong,
awesome. Yeah. And I think he would come in and they'd probably break all kinds of records with the offense that he runs. You know, I'm going to be honest. Larry Fedora's done an okay job at North Carolina, but if Lane Kiffin was available and North Carolina looked at him, if Bubba Cunningham, the AD, was like giving him a call, I wouldn't be too upset about that.
No, I think if Coach Fedora, if the opportunity presents itself at Chapel Hill, I think that the athletic director will call him.
Yeah, and I mean we'll have to wait and see as to what jobs open up.
Yeah.
Notre Dame might be one that potentially opens up. I don't know if he'd want that kind of pressure on him.
Because you come into Notre Dame, you come in to win now.
They expect you to win immediately. You're right, absolutely. Now I do want to say that FAU started 1-3 this year, and then they won 10 straight, and they beat North Texas 41-17 in the Conference USA Championship. So that wasn't close. Then in the the Boca Raton Bowl, they beat Akron 50-3. So that one wasn't close either. So I mean, it's almost to the point where in just 1 year, he's outdone himself at FAU. And of course, right before their bowl game, they signed him to a new deal that's supposedly going to keep him there till 2027. I seriously doubt that he's going to be anywhere close to that, which is kind of the discussion.
He'll be gone.
That's almost 10 years.
Yeah. He'll be gone in 2.
At that point, it was a 10-year deal when they did it, because like I said, it was back in December during the bowl season. But I think we can all agree right now, with him being as hot as he is, there's no way he's getting anywhere close to staying in Florida at that school until 2027.
No.
Unless he likes taking it that easy.
Well, I was going to move on, but you bring a good point up in that he's living in Boca Raton, which is a really, really nice place to live. It sounds to me like he can pretty much do whatever he wants at FAU. He has that status already, so maybe he says to himself, I'm comfortable here. We can dominate the Conference USA for a while. Maybe at some point with the college football playoff, there becomes a scenario where some of these schools are able to get in, and we're going to touch on that here in a moment. But maybe he does stick around. I just find it.
Or maybe even move FAU to another conference itself.
Could happen too. I mean, TCU comes to mind, where they weren't in a Power 5 school. Gary Patterson becomes the coach there. They have like 10 straight years of dominating, and now they're in the Big 12. Yeah. So you never know. We'll have to wait and see on that. But transitioning, of course, like we said, Lane Kiffin used to be Alabama's offensive coordinator. They hired a new OC and a new defensive coordinator, because it seems like Saban just churns them out and they all leave. But offensive coordinator Mike Locksley is going to make $1.2 million this year alone. Defensive coordinator Tosh Lupoy is going to make $1.1 million alone. So these are 3-year deals between the two of them. So they're going to make a little over $3 million before this is all said and done. My question to you guys is, are these guys making too much money?
If you is coaching for Roll Tide, no, you're not. You making your money, and you trust me. You under Coach Saban, you getting your money's worth for that.
But do you say that because of the tremendous success that they've had?
Exactly.
Okay.
As far as college football in general, too much money.
Okay.
I think all coaches kind of need to get cut a little bit and kind of give that money back to the players. Who does that? I think. And to the rest of the athletics department, I'm sure that not every sport's getting the same amount of money to each other, because they're investing so much money into football.
Right.
So I kind of see that money's too high no matter where it is.
I was looking at the rest of the coaching staff. The lowest paid coach on Bama for next season will be their special teams coach. He's going to make a measly $267,000 to coach special teams in the first year of his deal. It's actually a buyout from another school. The 2 years after that, it bumps all the way up to $550,000 a year. So he's going to make a cool million and a half almost in the last 2 years of that deal. So, if we're getting to a point where your coordinators are making over $1 million, I agree. I think these numbers are getting too high. And you know how I guys feel about starting to pay to some of these players.
Yeah.
If you're going to pay your special teams coach $250,000, toss the players $10,000 or something, or figure out a way to stipend that.
Because his cup here fill all the way up. You can't give him a sip of that drink.
Right, exactly.
That's just like even when they win the national championship, I think to the degree where if your players contribute in that national championship game from offensive special team, I agree with Russell. Let just dish out.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that everybody should be paid equally.
Yeah.
Like you said, if you're an Alabama team and you win, and you're in the playoffs year after year after year, then maybe your guys make a little bit more than some of these smaller schools, but those are the top players in the country. So, it's all about putting that hard work in.
I think it's like a percentage of the
revenue.
Yeah. And I'm sure maybe they could figure out like as they call a flat tax,
where
there is a percentage that everybody gets, and maybe you figure out some kind of scientific formula or something, depending on how many wins you get, how many points you score, how many points your defense give up, whatever it may be. Now, another discussion that I want to have with you guys. Scott Frost, who of course was the head coach at the University of Central Florida, is now at Nebraska. Of course, we talked about this several times about how Central Florida really thinks that they are national champions from last year, even though they finished 12th in the CFP. But they had an undefeated season. They beat a couple teams that ended up in the playoffs. So in their minds, they think that they're national champions. Now, Scott Frost actually came out and said that now that he's left, that championship talk is a little bit too much.
Well, he had to do that because otherwise he probably wouldn't have gotten a job somewhere else.
Maybe not, maybe not. But I want to ask you guys this. Does the college football playoff need some kind of overhaul in the terms of more than 4 teams, or starting to bring in teams like UCF who go undefeated, don't have the same schedule, but should they be included?
I think to the degree where most of these smaller schools should be. I think the college, just put it like this, I think the college football system where you got smaller schools who have gone undefeated and got good records, I think it can be that system can be revamped where you have revamp a little, where give everybody a chance,
right?
Regardless, equal opportunity based on the record.
What do you think? I mean, you've been kind of critical about them pretending to be national champs. So,
well, yeah, I think it's ridiculous they keep calling themselves national champs, but I see their argument where they should have been in the playoffs, and I completely agree 100%. They should have been in it because they went undefeated. Not only that, they also, I know this is kind of before they, this is after they made a selection, but they beat Auburn in a bowl game.
Pretty handily, too.
Yeah, they did.
And that's the same team that beat the 2 guys who were in the playoffs.
In the national championship, yeah.
So I completely agree that they need to expand it. I think at least an 8-team playoff will work, but I think they could get it to where every conference champion can be in it. And it might take a few weeks to get that playoff all the way through, but people are going to want to watch good football. They're going to continue to watch. I think it'll be fine.
And as long as you're talking millions of dollars involved, I mean, let's be honest, they'll play more games if they have to. I mean, they've added 2 or 3 games in the last 20 years between the BCS and now the CFP.
I think they could drop some bowl games and make the playoffs.
They very well could. Or where some of the bowl games are like play-in games.
Yeah. They do that with the All-State Sugar Bowl, the Rose Bowl. They already do that with those. So
right. And I agree. They've already got the the group of 5 or group of 6, and that was UCF this year, who only made it to 12. And I think that was a good start. However, I think that you should figure out a way, like you said, to give everybody a chance. Let UCF play Alabama. If they think they're that good, then they'll beat them.
Bring it on.
I don't think they will, but that's how you figure out who's the best. You get everybody that wants to be involved with it, or you think should be involved, and let them fight it out. So,
but I think it's going to be a scenario where the president of the president of the NCAA is probably they're going to get with all the presidents of the university, athletic directors, and they probably will come with a resolution behind it, and it could work.
Yeah. I think the first step is going to be expanding it to 8 teams.
Yeah.
But I think...
It might take a few years.
Yeah, I think it will take a few years, but I still think some of these smaller schools won't get a chance even at that point.
Especially considering the fact that UCF head coach just left.
Right.
When he left, we don't know what's going to happen to that team now.
Yeah.
And if coaches are going to continue to leave smaller schools, go to the bigger ones, the smaller schools are not going to have a chance at all.
And that's what I want to bring up next, because like you said, Scott Frost was at UCF, goes to a Power 5 school in Nebraska. You can't really blame these guys for doing it because, first of all, it's more money, but for a lot of these guys, it's better situation because they have a shot at winning a national championship, whereas at a school like Central Florida, they know right off the bat, more than likely, we have no shot at getting in unless they just absolutely stack their non-conference schedule. And if you start doing that at some point, you're probably going to lose a game. And once you lose a game, you're done. More than likely. I mean, I can't even tell you who the last small school that had lost a game made it into the as high up as UCF did. But I mean, like you say, you made a good point. How can these smaller schools keep these coaches around when they know coming in, I have no shot at getting in?
Exactly.
And I can think of another one real quick. Memphis's coach, Justin Fuentes, was a great coach. Memphis did very well. I don't think they got as high up as UCF, but then he leaves and goes to Virginia Tech. And for every one of these, there's 100 more that have done this throughout the years, knowing that they have no shot at getting in the playoffs, and it's a shame. And hopefully at some point they'll be able to figure out a way
Lane
to
Kiffin
appease
will be
more
that
people.
coach that keeps the small school going.
Yeah. I mean, it's like we said. I mean, more than likely he's going to leave, and FAU will go back to obscurity again, and we'll never hear from him until maybe some other rising coach comes
big
up
time
through the
coach
ranks.
comes.
Now, talking about big time coaches, the Miami Hurricanes here in the ACC have extended their head coach Mark Richt with a contract that's going to pay him till 2023. Now, I can see him staying at Miami. I don't know about you guys. But,
yeah, that's a big market. That's more of a big market.
Absolutely. University, you definitely have a shot at winning a national championship with
Miami.
Yeah. Of course, we all remember the Hurricanes of yore, that were the bad boys.
Yeah, the U.
The U.
Yeah, the U.
But last year, the Hurricanes played in their first ACC championship game. Of course, they lost to Clemson, but, that's been everybody over the last few years. They finished 10-3, though, and it was their first 10-win season since way back in 2003. So you're talking about, like, Sean Taylor days back then.
Sean Taylor, Frank Gore, and Willis McGahee type days.
Way back in the day. Now, they had the number 8 recruiting class that Mark Richt brought in this year. So want to get your opinion. Is re-signing him a good idea?
Yeah, this is a good move for the fans and University of Miami, the U, as a whole, because you already got a proven head coach, a winning coach, who can come in and do some things and recruit good. So I can see Coach Richt can see a national championship game in the future. It might win one.
Absolutely. Let me ask you a different question, though. Mark Richt used to be the head coach of Georgia. Obviously, he's not there anymore. So could that happen in Miami, too?
I don't know. I think he's got. I know. What game was it that he had? They lost to. I think it was. I don't remember who they lost to, but they lost somebody that they should have beat last season. They kind of kept them out of the contention for the playoffs.
Talking about Miami?
Yeah, Miami.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who that was, but
I think it was Pitt, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah. Kind of embarrassed themselves in that game, but I think they can rebound from something like that, and they can. And Rick has a great program down there at Miami, and I think that they can bring something to the table there where they can continue to put themselves in the playoff picture every single season. Maybe get an ACC title, and hopefully for them that they can get into a playoff.
Yeah, of course, one of the things with him being in Georgia, who he's running into was the Nick Saban train, so that may have had a lot to do with it. I agree. I mean, I think it's, I'm a Tar Heel fan, so I don't want the rest of the league to be getting better because they're on our side of the ACC, so we'd have to more than likely go through them or Virginia Tech to get a championship. Of course, they're still going to have to run into Clemson on the other side and Florida State. Let's not forget about them. So the ACC is getting better and better and better to keep up with the rest of the country. But I still think this is a good extension for them. They're actually going to open the season on September the 2nd against LSU at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Jerry World.
Looking forward to that one.
Who do you think's going to – I'm going to get a quick prediction. LSU or Miami?
LSU. Go Tigers. Go Tigers.
I don't know.
I have to stick with my SEC.
SEC, yeah.
I don't know if I want to make one. Obviously, it's a neutral stadium.
Yeah.
But it's closer to LSU in Arlington, where the Cowboys play. But it's obviously closer to LSU. But since you guys are taking the Tigers, I'll take the Canes. So, but moving on, we talked about Georgia. Of course, Kirby Smart took over there. Has done very well already, just in 2 seasons. He himself is getting paid. He got a 7-year, $49 million extension, and we just got through talking about how much money these guys are making, and is it too much? That's a lot. A lot of moolah.
Georgia's got a lot of faith in him.
However, though, just like last year with the Hurricanes, they had their first SEC title since 2005, and of course made an appearance in the national championship. Lost in overtime, but we're right there at it till the very end. I mean, is Kirby Smart, the heir apparent, obviously, to Mark Richt, going to take it to another level?
I've been saying it for a few weeks here, actually a few months since they've been in that title match. Within 5 years, they're going to be national champions.
Think so?
Yeah.
So do you think they're going to dethrone Bama?
Not dethrone, but they'll win one.
Okay.
There's some off seasons that we have where we give everybody else a chance.
Right. I knew you were going to say that. What do you think?
I think this is a good move for Georgia.
Yeah.
Even though the contract is 7 years, $49 million, that's a person who had been to the Pro Bowl 10 times in his career.
And he's getting every bit of that.
Yeah, he's getting every bit. And you don't even find players don't make that kind of money for that long 10-year contract. But anyway, good. It was a good move for Georgia. Kirby Smart, kudos to him for what he has done in the past 2 seasons, and I can see the Georgia Bulldogs come back and win at least 1 or 2 championships in his tenure.
Yeah. Now, obviously, they're going to have to run into Bama. But they're on the east side. Yeah. So I mean,
dominating the east. Yeah. I can see them meeting Alabama every year.
I can't do for the foreseeable future. Yeah. Because you got Tennessee. We don't know what's going on there with Pruitt, who just came over, another Bama guy. Mm-hmm. South Carolina may be on the up and up, but they're still really young. Florida, maybe. I mean, I just don't know who's going to be able to keep up with the Bulldogs.
SEC continues to keep its dominance.
Yeah,
I agree.
Because I'm looking at right now, if you're looking at the conference as a whole, really your top 3 is LSU, Georgia, and Alabama. So
yeah. And I want to tell you guys, $49 million is a lot of money.
Yes.
It still only makes him the 5th highest coach in college football, behind.
I wonder who number 1 is.
Not who you're thinking.
Oh, it isn't.
It's Urban Meyer.
What?
Urban Meyer makes about $200,000 more than Nick does.
And Ohio State.
At Ohio State. Nick Saban's right behind him, though. Jim Harbaugh's 3rd. And Jimbo Fisher, who just went over to A&M's, getting paid. He's 4th, and now Kirby comes in 5th. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Shoot, that should have been Nick Saban's money.
But 3 SEC coaches in the top 5 of getting paid. So kind of see the trend going there.
Yeah.
And these guys are, we're sitting here maybe not complaining, but talking about how much money they make. These numbers are only going to keep going up, right?
Yeah.
With all the billions of dollars.
The bonuses and the championships you win, et cetera, et cetera.
I agree. So if these coaches are listening or watching, send us some money, please. We'll take whatever
you want to give us.
$100
a day.
Yeah, give me a. Can I get 5,000? And we can be friends for life.
Yeah. I'll come to every game and.
Yes, I'll wear your stuff just for the sake. Even though I'm an Alabama fan.
Yeah, exactly. Just give me $10,000. We'll be good to go. But that's gonna do it for NCAA football. And when we come back in the final segment, like we always do, our big impacts of the week. The official Richmond County Athletes of the Week, and as always, love it or hate it. All that and more when we come right back. Welcome back to the RO Sports Show, brought to you by First Health Orthopedics. And just like we do every week, guys, we're going to start with our big impacts of the week. Of course, brought to you by Richmond Community College, whose motto is local college, big impact. So, Russell, let's start with you. Who's your big impact?
Well, congratulations to the Richmond softball Lady Raider team, who dominated Jack Britt in a 7-2 victory in the SEC, in the inaugural SEC championship. They finished out the tournament. They're 21-3 overall and 17-0 in the SEC. So a huge shout out to them for big impact.
Killing it.
Yeah.
Killing it all year. Number 1 seed going into the playoffs, too. Jeremy, who's your big impact?
Congratulations to the Richmond Raider baseball team as they defeated David County 8-2 to advance to the second round of the state playoffs to place number 2 seed East Forsyth.
Yeah, and that's going to be a tough matchup. I was actually able to go cover that baseball game. Boys were clicking on all cylinders, pitching, defense, hitting, all of that good stuff.
All teams are on point.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then my big impact of the week, Richmond Senior High School Lady Raider soccer players Julia Bornhorst and Caroline Whitley actually traveled to Italy over their spring break to train and play with Italian players. Got some great experience. We're actually coached by Italy's national team coaches, so that's pretty big.
Yeah.
Man. That's a big impact. And of course, you can read about all of this on the Richmond Observer's website and the Richmond Observer app. Another thing, of course, you can find on the Richmond Observer is the official Richmond County Athletes of the Week presented by McNair Auto Sales. For this week, the female athlete of the week is Harmony Jones, the senior sprinter on the Lady Raiders track and field team. She is, of course, preparing for the Midwest Regionals. It's going to take place this Saturday at Pinecrest High School. And then on the male side, just mentioned stellar pitching of the Raiders baseball team. A lot of that comes from starting pitcher and Raider ace Trey Watkins, who was our official athlete of the week, a senior starting pitcher, of course, on the Raiders baseball team. This guy's already pitched a no-hitter this year, combined with Drew Loving, but he faced everyone except one batter, so I'm giving him credit for it. And then just the other night, pitched a complete game, 9 strikeout game on just 104 pitches. So those are your Richmond County official athletes of the week. And then finally, guys, like we do every other week, let's get into Love It or Hate It. And we're going to start with college basketball, which we haven't really gotten into lately because obviously March Madness is over with. Villanova won, yada, yada. But Alabama was a team that a lot of people were expecting to be a lot better in college basketball. They got into the tournament. They beat Virginia Tech in the first round. Colin Sexton, who was a one-and-done freshman, was a big part of that. But Braxton Key was another player that was part of that Alabama basketball team. Found out earlier this week he's transferring from Alabama to the big boy league, the ACC, going to become a Virginia Cavalier. So love it or hate it.
I love it. You get your opportunity to play and make a name for yourself, go for it.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah.
Why are you leaving us? Come on, man.
I hate it, but not for the same reason. I don't want this guy in the ACC. Virginia's already the cream of the crop, at least in the regular season. Of course, we know what happened when it came tournament time. But this is a guy that's going to fit perfectly into Tony Bennett's system. So obviously, if you're a Virginia fan, you're going to love it. But me being a Tar Heel boy, hate this one. Now, Carolina Panthers news. They signed running back C.J. Anderson to a one-year deal. Anderson, of course, was the main guy in the backfield for the Denver Broncos. But him pairing up with the other running backs, Carolina, love it or hate it?
I love it because this is an opportunity for us to do a 1-3 punch combo to take pressure off of Cam Newton in the passing game. And when I saw this on a few days ago when they signed him, I was like, great.
Yeah. What do you think, Russ?
I'm going to say love it.
I'm going to say love it, too. He's going to pair up with Cameron Artis-Payne. It's going to take some pressure not only off of Cam Newton, but off of Christian McCaffrey, too.
Yes.
So now you've got, like I said, a three-headed monster, if you will, back there. Not even counting Curtis Samuel, who they drafted the same year as McCaffrey out of Ohio State. Of course, he wasn't as good as they thought he'd be. But you've got some options back there. Maybe it'll keep Cam from having to run because he can't keep that up forever, not in the NFL. So going into the NBA, the Detroit Pistons fired head coach Stan Van Gundy after 4 seasons at the helm. So love it or hate it.
I love it because this is the Detroit Pistons, a team that's all winning tradition, and even with Stan Van Gundy had relieved of his duties, he can go find a job somewhere else because his reputation speaks for himself. But
yeah,
I think this will become a narrative where you need to take a year off of coaching. You probably need to be in the broadcast booth, and then somebody, when the right opportunity comes and presents itself, and call you to become a head coach for the franchise, go for it.
Step back on the court. What do you think? Love it or hate it?
Yeah, I'm going to say love it. After 4 years not having that success, you need to go on and do something else. Maybe even drop down to the college level and try from there or something.
That's a good point. We're just talking about Alabama. Their head
Nick
coach
Saban had to do that.
Well, their head coach is Avery Johnson, who not only played in the NBA but coached there for a minute too, and he dropped down, and obviously he's able to recruit some of these guys. So I agree with both of what you guys said. I'm going to say love it. Just like we talked with college football and college basketball coaches, they give you about 4 years to get it together, and obviously the NBA is a little bit different because you don't recruit. But after 4 years, if you're not doing something, if you're not consistently winning or getting in the playoffs, it's time to move on.
Yeah, because even you even thought with the Blake Griffin trade from you thought at that time him and Reggie Jackson, they would have did a 1-2 punch combo and did something and pushed themselves to the playoffs, which you could say Stan Van Gundy's job.
And Andre Drummond, they still got Drummond there too. So 2 big guys, but it didn't work out. And Stan Van Gundy been moving on. I can absolutely see him going to the booth though, because he's got that personality, just like his brother Jeff Van Gundy, who does games for ESPN. Same scenario. Going back to the NFL, we mentioned last week in our draft recap that the Steelers drafted Mason Rudolph, the quarterback out of Oklahoma State. We had a discussion about whether he would be the heir apparent to Big Ben. Well, after they made that pick, Ben came out and said that he was a little surprised by them picking up a quarterback, and basically blatantly came out and said that he had no intention on mentoring this guy. So love it or hate it?
I hate it because Big Ben, you can't be a Steeler forever.
Right.
But and then at some point in time, you got to tutor this young man to carry the franchise to continue with the winning tradition as always been.
Yeah.
Go and train this guy because you ain't getting any younger.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna say, hey, you need to go out there and be a mentor.
I'm gonna say hate it too. And one of the things that really makes me mad is Big Ben almost retired.
Yes, twice.
Twice. And then so when you do that, you leave the organization in flux. They don't know what you're going to do. I don't blame them one bit for drafting a quarterback. We also mentioned that they drafted Mason Rudolph's top receiver out of Oklahoma State, James Washington, which we all kind of figured that's the future of the Steelers. Big Ben, just stop being a brat, man. Like let him learn underneath you. And if you
you look at Green Bay.
Perfect example.
I give you a perfect example with Green Bay. I remember in 2005 when Green Bay Packers picked up Aaron Rodgers from the University of Cal. It took almost 4 years.
Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers took 4 years to learn under one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. And when Big Ben left and go to New York Jets, and Aaron Rodgers came in and took over, the rest was history.
Yeah, and now he's one of the best, could be of all time too.
Yeah.
So. But I mean, especially a quarterback like Roethlisberger, who spent his whole career in Pittsburgh, it's kind of your duty at that point to teach the younger guys and move it on to the next generation of players. So, but speaking of moving on from the NFL, We found out late last week that, in my opinion, Hall of Fame tight end from the Dallas Cowboys, Jason Witten, is going to be retiring and joining the Monday Night Football team up in the booth. Love it or hate it?
I love it. Jason Witten, even though I despise the Cowboys, I really do, but you is one of the greatest tight ends of all in the history of the NFL, and I congratulate you on a Hall of Fame career. We'll see you in Canton.
Yep.
And do good on Monday Night Football or Fox News.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna say love it as well, mainly because it'll help any team beat the Cowboys a little bit better now. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say love it, and I feel the same way you do as about the Cowboys. Not a fan, but I can respect Jason Witten as being one of, if not the, maybe Tony Gonzalez is ahead of him, but he's definitely up there as far as going to Canton. Unfortunately, they never were able to get a Super Bowl. I guess maybe he thought, I've done everything I can do. Now it's time to move on. I'm thinking, though, if you're a Cowboy fan, you're not too happy about this because you've lost one of your bigger weapons. They let go of Dez Bryant, so it's kind of like, who is Prescott going to throw to this year? You know,
because you got Allen Hurns and you got Terrence Williams, and you just picked up Gavin Escobar. So but that's gonna hurt.
I still don't think they're on the same level as Jason Witten because he's like a security blanket for Romo for sure, and definitely for Prescott. So. But talking about another future Hall of Fame tight end, we found out yesterday, that Antonio Gates, of course, San Diego / LA Chargers fame, is not going to be coming back to the Chargers. Jeremy let us know about this one. So what do you think? Love it or hate it?
I hate it because, like I said, the Chargers, you let go one of the greatest tight ends of all time. You know, he went undrafted, and his stats speaks for himself, and he done everything in his career that he can do. And but the only thing he doesn't have is a Super Bowl ring, and he already said that he wants to come back for another season. So it could be a scenario where he can contend for a ring. I can see him pair up with Ron Gronkowski in New England and let Tom Brady have another security blanket. Hey, go for it.
That'd be a beast of a matchup there. Yeah. What do you think? Love it or hate it?
I'm going to say love it just for the fact that he's going to be able to have the opportunity to go play somewhere else that will help him get a Super Bowl ring. Chargers ain't going to get one anytime soon, I don't think.
No.
Yeah, I hate the fact, I'm just going to say love it, just from the Chargers' perspective. Antonio Gates has been a Hall of Fame tight end for your organization. Now, we just got through talking about this with Big Ben. On the other side of that coin, you should reward this guy and let him stick around. If he thinks he's got some more in the tank, then let him go out there and prove it. You know, later on in the season, if he's not doing well, then bench him or cut him. You know, they're always quick to cut these guys, obviously. Yeah. But I don't know. I think we can all agree, though, that Gates will probably latch on somewhere. I mean, this guy started his career as a basketball player at Kent State. Now he's going to go in the Hall of Fame for football, so you never know.
Yes.
But our final love it or hate it for the evening, the same day, almost at the same time of the day that the Hornets hired their new head coach, the Carolina Hurricanes also hired their new head coach. And for Cane fans, if you don't know already, it's going to be a familiar name. It is Rod Brind'Amour, who was on the Canes team when they won the Stanley Cup, what seems like forever ago, but I think it was about 15 years ago. But them hiring from within, so to speak, love it or hate it?
I love it. You're bringing somebody in who got a winning tradition and pretty much can take the Canes to a whole different level in the Stanley Cup.
All right.
Well, first of all, when all these teams getting new coaches, I expect somebody to finally buy the Panthers, but
well, maybe we'll come back next week and that will happen, because it seems like anytime we start talking about it, they jump the gun on us. So.
But I'm gonna say love it because bringing somebody who's been a former Hurricanes guy into the program, who knows how this team can be, it's good for the team.
I agree. I'm gonna say love it. Now, he is a first-time head coach, but like you said, he knows the organization. The fans know him. Some people have kind of started wondering what if the Hurricanes were going to be able to get back to winning. This might bring back some fans that have jumped off the ship, so to speak. So I think that's going to be a good hire for them. And of course, we would love to see the Hurricanes win another Stanley Cup in the very, very near future. So that's going to do it for Love It or Hate It. That's also going to do it for this edition of the RO Sports Show.
Already?
And, just like we always do, I got to mention, you can watch us on the Richmond Observer app, the Richmond Observer Facebook page, our YouTube channel. You can also listen to us on The Classic Rock, and, of course, we're right in the middle of Triple Thursday. So Live at 5 was earlier. We're finishing up here. And then after us, you're going to have Confessing the Blues on the Classic Rock Radio.
It's all in one, and it's all for free.
You said it. All for free. So for Russell Parker, Jeremy McKenzie, I'm Matt Harrelson. We'll see you right back here next week, Thursday nights at 5:30 p.m. Have a great week.